Hello my stitchy friends, I'm back. I've missed you so much. I'm Christy, I'm the crosshatch quilter, and this is Gus. He is our French bulldog, very spoiled puppy that we love. I don't have my puppy wrangler on Paw Patrol today because she's at school. So we're gonna see how this video goes because Gus is not a loud dog. He doesn't bark, but bulldogs are they just make lots of noises. They sound like a freight train. They snore, they snort, they breathe heavy. They just aren't very quiet dogs when it comes to the noises they make. So if you hear noises during the video, I do apologize in advance, but he's a big mama's boy and he's gonna probably stay in this room and snore or chew on his bone. So we'll see how it goes. Say hi, Flosstube. This is Gus. We call him Gustifer, Gussie boy. We named him Gus Gus when we first got him because he looks like the, he reminds us of the mouse on Cinderella. Okay, so I'm gonna set him down. Go chew on your bone. Okay, now that I've set Gus down, I wanted to say a very big, huge thank you for such a warm welcome. This stitching community on Flosstube and on Instagram is amazing, and I already knew that, but you guys have just made me feel very warm, gave me such a warm welcome, and I really enjoy being a part of this community. You're very dear to my heart, so a sincere thank you. I'm going to talk to you about my stitching today. I'd like to show you some previous finishes, a few new starts and new finishes, my whips, my 10 and 20 choices, my immediate radar, some haul, stitchy friend kindness, a couple quilts, and a giveaway. I lied to you last time and told you that I was going to stick to my rotation and I wasn't going to start anything new, but there was two exceptions to that rule, and that was I wanted to start the Baby It's Cold Outside Sal. It's hashtag Baby It's Cold on Instagram and probably on Facebook, to honor and to remember Leanne from Lost and Floss. So I did start that on February 14th with everybody, and I finished it. I stitched nothing but this during that time frame after I started it until I finished it, because I knew that if I didn't finish it this winter and immediately, that it would just linger until next winter, and I really wanted to get this done and stitch it with all of you. So I'm happy to have that done. I stitched it with all the called for flosses on 36 count L, which I believe is the called for, and I love it. I'm gonna go and get it framed, and it'll have a place of honor on my wall. My other finish is Mice in the Sewing Room by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread, and I started this one after I finished Baby It's Cold Outside because I needed a little small quick fix. And it's stitched on 36 count Old Town Blend with all the called for flosses. I'm finished, but I haven't decided yet. There's a needle that goes right here with some thread coming out of it that is over one, and then there's some little French knots and back stitched pins right here, and I can't decide if when I finish it if I'm just going to put a real needle there and some real pins. So for right now it's done, and I love it. It's part of the tomatoes that I wanted to stitch this year, so that was a fun quick stitch. And so now I'm going to get back to my rotation. Maybe. I will. Along with doing the Baby It's Cold Outside for Leanne, a friend of mine, her name is Lisa with Lisa's Abby's Needleworks. She's here on Flosstube and on Instagram. She had a great idea of starting a quilt in memory of Leanne. to stitch and have up in our homes. And Leanne had such a neat style. She loved reds, and she was an amazing quilter, and that's something that stood out to Lisa. And I agree as well that that was something that I just admired about Leanne. So I'm going to start. It's a Frivels quilt, and it's by French General, and I don't know how to say the name of it. It's Atelier. I'm not French, but I thought that that looked like Leanne, so I'm going to start that and get that finished hopefully very soon. It's just like a small tabletop topper, so it shouldn't take me too long. So I want to get that one done. Why don't we talk about the giveaway right now, since it is related to the Baby It's Cold Outside sale. I wanted to do some stitchy kindness to say thank you for just welcoming me to the community, but also because I wanted it to relate to this Baby It's Cold Outside sale. So I made a project bag, and it says Cold Outside right there, and it's winter themed. It could be, you know, Christmas, winter stitching, and it's got little black snowflakes on the inside. It's really cute with a wreath zipper pull. And I'm going to give away the chart because I know that this is kind of hard to find right now because of the sale. Everyone bought one. So if you want this, if you don't have the chart and you would like it, say that you would like the Baby It's Cold Outside chart with your comment. But if you don't, then I have another one that is, sorry, I didn't want to take them out of the package. This one is a Stitchy Card A, Set A from Bee in My Bonnet, Bee in My Bonnet by Lori Holt. And these are so cute. We have this set at our house too, and my daughter just got done stitching this little baby chick, and she wants me to turn it into a key fob for her, or a zipper fob, or a scissor fob. Anyway, so it doesn't matter where you live. I'll mail anywhere. In your comment, will you just tell me where you live? I would love to know that. And you don't have to tell me an exact town or anything, but if you live in the United States, tell me what state you live in. And if you live out of the country, tell me what country you live in. And just tell me which chart that you would like to go along with the bag, and I'll draw it next time. So thank you. Okay. Let's talk about some previous finishes. I couldn't find this last time in my last video, and it is called a Busy Bee bag by Shepherd's Bush, and it is really cute. It's a pre-made bag that they sell, and then you just stitch it already like that. I saw Brenda from Handwork Maniac. She was planning on stitching this, and I knew that I had it in my stash, and so I immediately went and grabbed it, and I stitched along the same day that she was stitching hers. And I've met Brenda. She's one of the few floss tubers that I've met in person. She was at the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City, and I walked in and she was in there stitching, and she's so nice. She's just as nice in person and genuine as she is on her Flosstube videos. So go check her out, Handwork Maniac. And I had so much fun stitching this with her. There is a lot more stitches in that little teeny tiny bag than, I mean, it just looks like it'd be a quick stitch, but I think it took me a day and a half to stitch that up. And then my next finish, or previous finish, is Snow Days by Country Cottage Needleworks. And I stitched this after I saw it on Priscilla and Chelsea's Flosstube. I loved their finish on this, and so I copied, or I did a Priscilla finish. This is stitched on 28 count Monaco that I tea and coffee dyed with their tutorial, and I just love it. I wanted to show it to you before I take it down because I'm over winter and I'm gonna start putting up the spring decor. So that is Snow Days by Country Cottage Needleworks. And then just a little bit of stitchy kindness. My friend Cindy, she's Cindy C Stitches on Instagram. She sent me the cutest card, and in it she sent me a chart. It's a postcard with 2 deer on it. It's called Summer House. Winter. It says summer on the back, but that must be because there's a snowflake on there. But anyway, it does say Summer House on the back, but it says winter number 11 postcard. I love it. Thank you, Cindy. And then she also sent me Flaming Flower by Sheepish Designs. And she told me that I could go ahead and stitch it and then pass it along after I get it done. So I intend to do just that. And I just love this. And I think it's pretty old. I think it's from 1996. So it's probably not available anymore. So I will stitch it and then I'll pass it along after I get it done. Okay. Let's go over whips. I've been doing my stitching rotation until February 14th, and I've really been enjoying keeping up with it. My 30-minute a day stitching that I do, in the morning time I work on Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs, and I made it a bag from Hyde Park. It's Blackbird Designs fabric. And then I was on Instagram one night and I saw Reecie with House of Stitch and Stash, and she had made a bag out of Hyde Park, and it has the sampler fabric in it. And I thought, oh, I need that for my project. This is such a big project. It has the 12 charts in it, and this is just all the extra floss that is not being used for this month's stitching. So it's a great way for me to just store it all. I don't use these flosses for any other projects. I just keep it in there so that I know where they're at and it's ready for the next month stitching. So I'm on February. I did finish January's block. This is what February's looks like. It's called Valentine Rose. And I'm stitching this on 36 count Old Town Blend, a 1/2, and that's my progress so far. I haven't stitched on it since February 14th, so I'm anxious to get back to it. I put Gus in here because his birthday is in January, and I knew that my daughter would want his name in there. And then I put an S here for our puppy dog Sam that is no longer with us, so that he's under the tree there resting. And I just love that block. I've stitched this block twice now because I unpicked the tree I stitched it once when I did it on the 32 count and abandoned that. And then I stitched it in the called for thread, and I didn't like it. It was brown. It looked like a dead tree. And so I restitched it in Endive, which is in the Anniversaries of the Heart, just later on in a different month. And then I stitched this with aged pewter. It calls for portabella, and I had originally stitched the whole entire thing, including the eyelet stitches, and I just didn't like it, so I pulled it out and did it with aged pewter, and it works for that peacock. And then I've learned something about myself. I really enjoy eyelet stitches. They're so fun. I know everybody else hates them, but I really enjoy doing them. So there is my progress on Anniversaries of the Heart. And then my next project that I do on Mondays and Tuesdays, I saw a squirrel and I started something new, but I'll show you where I'm at on Queen of Freedom first. The only thing that I have accomplished since last time we talked was I added the cry neck to her headdress there. I decided to go ahead and order a hoop because the cry neck is just really hard to stitch in hand because it doesn't lay flat and nice. So I put this aside, and I started Heritage Sampler, and I've had this chart for a couple years. I've had it since it came out, all kitted up with the called for threads and linen, and my friend Tina with Emily Ann's Closet on Instagram, she's had the same chart. We bought it at the same time, and we've, for, you know, when did this come out? 2016. We keep saying, I'll start it when you start it, and we just never did. And so she started it a couple weeks ago, and so of course I had to start it with her, but it was perfect because I was waiting for my hoop for Queen of Freedom. So I lied, and you'll probably find that a lot about me. I'll tell you I'm going to do something, and then I see a squirrel. But here's where I'm at so far. This is, I'm stitching it on 36 count exemplar by Lakeside Linens with all the called for threads. It is so fun. I'm really enjoying that one. And I will set it, now that I've received my hoop, I will set it aside and not work on it until I get Queen of Freedom done. So there's another whip. Sorry for the squeaky chair. My next whip that I do in the middle of the week is Schoolhouse Series Abecedary Schoolhouse. See, this is why I look at my notes, because you just forget everything you're saying when you're on here. Schoolhouse Series Lessons in Abecedarian by Brenda Gervais with my needle and thread. And I'm stitching this on 40 count mushroom, 1/2, and that's my progress. I think hopefully next time I will have a finish on this. I just love it. So, and then my last rotation of the week is Ann Rayner, and I'm stitching this on 40 count creme brulee, and here is the flosses. Again, it's just DMC, and it looks so good on that creme brulee. And I've made quite a bit of progress since the last time that we spoke. Sorry I didn't iron any of these. I'm gonna just throw them right back in the bags, and so I didn't iron them. But I've done the house and started on this flower pot here, and this basket of, I think they're probably cherries. My dog. And then this little tree and the crown. I'm loving this. It's on 40 count, so it does take me a little, I'm a little bit slower stitching on it, but I'm really enjoying that one. At the beginning of this video, at the intro, I put a picture of a treadle machine, and it's my great grandmother's and grandfather's treadle machine. They were immigrants here from, this is my grandfather, and he came from Sweden, and his name is Frederick Wolschweiler. There we go. And he immigrated here from Sweden. And then my great-great-grandmother is Anna Elizabeth Bauer Wolschweiler when she married him. And she immigrated here from Wales, which was pretty uncommon back then. She was born in 1871. And he was born in 1863. They didn't marry until they came over here. They met when they were here. And the treadle machine that is on my intro is from them. It was their treadle machine. He was a tailor, a barber, and also what they called a Schneider. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a woodworker. I have a chest of drawers that he also made. So he was very talented and a man of many crafts. So she looks so fancy with her poofy sleeves right there. And every time I think about them and I see Ann Rayner, and this is a really bad copy, but she's so fancy right there and has the poofy sleeves, and they just remind me of my great grandmother and grandfather. So I think I'm going to stitch her name right here instead of Ann Rayner and put her birth date on there, and birth and death date to commemorate her. And I'll probably, when I get it framed, I'll set it on my treadle machine that I have from them. I just treasure that treadle machine, and I'm very honored that I inherited it. Inside of it, there were all these neat old bobbins, thimbles. There's a bunch of thimbles in there. And I don't know if he used this in his tailor trade, or if this was her machine at home. Probably a combination of both, I would assume. But I'm just very excited to have that. It's such a treasure. And then when I stitch the companion piece to this, then I will stitch my great grandmother's name on that one, just so that they're kind of they're sister charts, so they'll be mother and daughter charts. And I thought that would be a neat reminder to my daughter of her great grandparents, or her great grandparents. All right, so I've shown you my whips, and now I wanted to show you my choices for the Michelle Rudy's Farm Girl 10 and 20 choices that I've made. It was so hard to narrow those down. I think I probably have erased and added new names on it probably 10 different times. So I think I've got it narrowed down, and let me show you what I've got going on. Oh, so number 1 is Ann Rayner. I want to get that one finished. And then number 2 is Heritage Sampler by Plum Street. That was my squirrel start that I showed you. And then my next one is Sarah Casey Unwin. Oh, sorry. And this is by Chessie and Me. And here is my progress so far. This is being stitched on 36 count vintage pearl barley with the called 4 threads. Now, do you believe me that I'm a squirrel starter? Well, I got all that done, and then I just abandoned it probably 6 months ago, and I haven't touched it since, and I love it. So that one I want to get finished this year. And then the next one, and this one is a Brenda Sampler Stitcher. It's her fault. I saw this on her Instagram last summer, and I instantly went and found it. There was a seller on Etsy that had it, and it's Sweet Land of Liberty, and it's by Cherish Stitches. Oh, I just love that. This is on, if you watch Brenda and Laura's last video, it is on their Brenda's patriotic wall. It's just gorgeous. I'm stitching this on, I believe, 32 count vintage country mocha. Haven't gotten very far yet. Sorry about the wrinkles. I probably should have ironed all these. So there's my little humble start. I haven't gotten very far on that one yet. This time of year, I'm always in the mood to stitch patriotic, so that one will probably get worked on and get some love sooner than later. Okay, my next one is Heart and Hand by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. And this was a stitch along that Emily, Anne's Closet, did on Instagram, Tina and her daughter Ashley. And they now have a YouTube channel called For Love of the Stitches. And they started this back in January of 2018. And I started along with them, and I got the house done and the lady done. And then I put two great big huge holes in my linen. I was unpicking something, and just because Weeks Dye Works is such a loose weave, I just couldn't, they weren't salvageable. I made two big holes. So this December I decided that I really wanted to stitch this. I love this piece. So I ordered the linen again, and the linen is, let me tell you, it's a chameleon linen. It's 35 count Dove linen by Weeks Dye Works. And it's funny because when you photograph this, it looks gray sometimes. In person it's like a tealy blue, but those colors just pop on it. So there's my start, and I want to get that one finished this year and finish the sal that I started 2 years ago. I think I'm probably the only one that's not finished with it by now. Okay, my next one is Summer at Hollyberry Farm, and I started this one in December as well. I got tired of stitching Christmas, and so I just did a whole bunch of new starts at the end of December, between Christmas and January. So I'm stitching this on 36 count L by Picture This Plus, and there's my start on that. These berries are very intricate, but I've kind of found a rhythm with them. You have to do a couple berries, and then you have to stitch a leaf so they don't have, you know, thread carry over. So I'll stitch a berry here, and I'll stitch a berry here, and then I'll do the leaves here, and I'll do the leaves here, and I go back and forth. So there's a lot of starting and ending your thread, so that's okay. It's beautiful. It's worth it. So there's Stacy. Did I tell you that was Stacy Nash? Stacy Nash Summer Berry Farm, and I made a project bag for it. You know I'm serious about a project, and I'm serious about finishing it if I make a project bag for it for myself. Love that. So I'm anxious to get to all these patriotic stitches. I just love them this time of year, getting them ready for summer. And then the next one is by Blackbird Designs. It's Loose Feathers, and it's summer, autumn, and winter. And I'm stitching this on the called for linen, which is 30 count Irish cream, so it's 2 threads over 2. Love that one. I want to get that one finished. Can you hear Gus snoring? Oh. Sorry. Okay, so my next one on my Stitch 10 choices is a Yuletide Welcome by Plum Street Samplers. And this one I just love. This is the companion piece to the Liberty's Welcome. So this is a Yuletide Welcome. And I'm stitching this on the called for Vintage Sand Dune 36 count. And it's a lot darker in person, the linen. It's getting washed out, but I just love that mustard house. There isn't much better than a mustard house. Excuse me while I take a drink so I don't cough in your ear. Alright, so a Yuletide Welcome. And that one is in my Christmas bag that I made for it, with the vintage Santas. In this bag there's also the strawberries from Blackbird Designs. I want to do these this year as well. It's not on my Stitch 10, but it's just in this bag sharing with Yuletide Welcome. And I have all the linens and the threads pulled for it. So hopefully I'll get those strawberries done. I think I had it on my list of Stitch 10, and then I erased it, and then I added something different. Squirrel. Okay. Then My next, so number 9 on my Stitch 10 choices, 10 and 20. It is called Vintage Block Along, and it is by Lori Holt of Bee in My Bonnet, and it is a free sew along that is on her blog. She started it last January, and I just never finished, but you can look it up on her blog. It's still there, and it's, what it is she has recreated patterns that were in her grandma's pattern basket, and they used to come in magazines, and they were templates and very difficult piecing. So Lori has gone and made these simple piecing techniques so that we can all sew our grandma's patterns that are in Lori's grandma's pattern box. But I just love the meaning behind it, and these remind me of my great-great-grandma, so I knew that I wanted to make them. My grandma sewed, my mom sewed, and they're just so fun. So I don't even know if I'm quite halfway. I've got, oh, I love that one. Looks like a poinsettia. I don't know what the name of the blocks are, but they're all on Lori's blog, beinmybonnetblogspot.com. So that is one of my Stitch 10. I love this tree. So fun. These are wrinkled. Sorry, I had them folded up in a box. So it's just a great sampler quilt. It's just got a mix of all of the vintagey blocks that everyone used to have to hand piece or use templates to complete the quilt. So I'm just really excited about that one. I'm obsessed with that project. And then my last Stitch 10 choice is my wild card. I haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet. And it's Coming to America by Brenda of With Thy Needle and Thread. And it's Women of the Mayflower. And this is not being released until September 6th, which is my birthday. It's the day that they left Plymouth. And it is, I think, a 66-day stitch along. It will end on November 9th, the day that they arrived here. So I'm hoping to get this done. I know I want to stitch it. I love the meaning behind it. Is also when Needlework came to America. So I'm just really excited about this project. And that is Women of the Mayflower by With Thy Needle and Thread. Okay, so those are my Stitch 10 choices. And then last time I was on here, I told you that I was going to go through all my whips, which I decided not to do. I have a lot, and we'd be here all day, and it's kind of boring. So I decided what to do is I'm going to show you all of my in-season whips for right now, and also radar, what's on my immediate radar of things that I want to stitch or I've serial started them. And so I just wanted to show you those. And then each season as we come to like Easter or Halloween or Christmas, then I'll show you those whips at that time. But I just thought I would stay in the theme of samplers and independent patriotic stitching for now. So, and these are kind of mixed in with my immediate radar because some of them I've already started and some of them I haven't. So I'm just going to kind of go through and do a mix match of a mix of both of them. The first thing is I made me a project bag this week for all my tomatoes that I want to stitch in 2020. I received some stitchy kindness. I forgot to show this earlier, but one of my friends sent me this cute tomato zipper pull, and she also sent me the sewing machine one, and these are keychains from Lori Holt of Bee in My Bonnet. You'll find them at the Fat Quarter shop. So my friend sent me those, and then she sent me, because she knew that I wanted to stitch tomatoes this year, she sent me heartstring samplery festive little fob stitching edition. So you know who you are, and thank you so much. I'm excited. So let's go through this immediate radar. You know that I'm serious about something if I make it a project bag. I added the gingham inside because usually you see a lot of strawberries. Did I say strawberries? Tomatoes. Oh my word. Tomato. I've been saying strawberries the whole time. You lose your brain when you're on here. You really do. And so there's lots of gingham tomatoes out there, and I just wanted to have that as the interior of the bag. And then it has all these cute vintagey sewing ladies on it and sewing machines. It's so fun. Okay. Now I'll show you my tomatoes, not strawberries. The first one is Hands-On Design, and it's called Mend. It's got a little tomato there and a vintage sewing machine. Love that. And then these next two you can find at Dying. I believe that they're a Dying to Stitch exclusive pattern. One is Tomato Dame. And so if you want these, just call up Dying to Stitch and they'll get them out to you. This one is called Summertide Blessings. Love those. And then this one is called Tomato Harvest Sewing Bag. I think I'll stitch this on the a tan fabric like Brenda did, of Brenda and Laura, the cereal starter. And then another Hands-On Design, it is called Stitch Over 2. Love that. And there's a little pile of strawberries right there, and then the little tomatoes. There's a pile of tomatoes. Oh, and a strawberry up there. So then on the lines of strawberries, I must have strawberries on the brain. I want to do It's Berry Time, and I just love this little strawberry that is cross-stitched. So then I have a big bag of all of my immediate radar and other whips that I've got going on. So this one, I started in December as well. I just got on a roll with starting stuff in between Christmas and New Year's. I just wanted to start all the things. And this is Martha Pudsey by the Scarlet House. Oh, I love this. I first started on vintage maple sugar, and I realized that my piece wasn't big enough. I don't know why I didn't do the math before I started. I thought for sure that I was accurate in my math, but I did the border, and as I got closer and closer to the bottom, I'm like, oh, that's not gonna fit. But I did have a piece of 36 count vintage autumn gold, and so I restarted on that. It's the 40 count and smaller, or bigger, I mean, so like 40, 36 is a darker dye lot than the 46. Maybe it starts with 40 and 46 is, they're lighter. And so mine is going to be a little bit darker than the called for, but I think it'll be okay. I really like how the colors are popping on there. So that one's fun. So I want to get to that one. And then this is my Following the Law bag. It has all of my red samplers in it. I put this in here because Laura has also started this chart, and it is Rachel Howes. Rachel Howes 1856 by the Scarlet House. And I started this one and realized that my fabric was, I was only going to have like an inch on my border, and so I've reordered a piece of fabric that it will fit on, but here's my start on the old fabric. It's not going to fit on it though. I didn't give myself enough room, so I'm going to restart that one on the same fabric, just a bigger piece, and it's Legacy by Picture This Plus. And then I have a few more in this bag that are my Follow the Law. And that one is Little Redwork Pin Keep by Stacy Nash. And then Ooh La La by Blackbird Designs. So those are on my immediate radar. Nobody tells you when you are preparing, or when they film these videos, what a huge mess you make when you're filming these. There's just going to be a mountain of stuff that falls over here soon. So, after watching Laura and Brenda, I had to get this pattern. It's Pineberry Lane Hurrah, red, white, and blue. And you can either stitch her in white or like a aqua blue color. All right, and then sticking with strawberries, not tomatoes, but strawberries. I want to stitch this strawberry by Erica Michaels, the Lindenberry collection, and it's Sweet Freedom Berry. Love that. I started this, and I'm gonna have to restart it. It's Georgia Michael by Plum Street Samplers. I just have a little tiny bit of a start, but I don't like the way that the variegation was showing up on his coat. I need to, it's just pretty one-sided. He looks kind of like Corilla DeVille, or I don't know, but we're gonna restart that. All right. And then another one that I want to do that's on my immediate radar for this summer is Summer in Baltimore. And I've actually already started this. It's on 40 count. And just a little small start. See, I'm a serial starter. I really do start a bunch of stuff, see a squirrel, and go the other direction. So that's why I love these stitch challenges, because it really does help me focus. My stitching rotation has really helped a lot as well. I love to start new things, but I really like to finish things too. Lady Liberty. I love this drum. I want to stitch that this summer. I have a little bit of a start. I don't know if it's worth showing you. Yeah, just a little bit of the border on the bunting. So there's Lady Liberty. And then, excuse me, sorry, I'm gonna take a drink. Michelle Farm Girl started a sew along with Harriet Coe of by With I Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, and I want to get that one started. And I made a sampler bag for it. Of that. Excuse me. And this is another one I just love. It is Jane Tyndall, 1864, and I've seen quite a few people show this recently. I've had it in my stash for probably a year and a half, never have started it. I really want to start it this year. And then here is a whip. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put a cough drop in my mouth. Okay, so this is Maria Selby Humphrey, 1831 by Blackbird Designs, and I've started this and the drum. The call for linen calls for a 30 count, and that's what I started it on. I don't know about it anymore. Look how big it's going to be. It's huge. So I've just got the border done. The bottom, I believe, is a satin stitch, so it doesn't go all the way across. So I've gotten the border done. And then this flower up top, I started this probably 2 summers ago. And I really enjoy it. I don't know yet. I've seen quite a few people start it recently, and I think they did it on Legacy. Nicole's Needlework. Did you do it on Legacy? I don't know if I'm going to continue or restart that one yet. And then this cute drum, and that shouldn't take too long. I'm going to put it in with my smalls and just put it in the lineup and get it done this year. It's hardly even worth showing you. I just started with the butterfly in the corner. This fabric is so cool. It's darker than what it's showing in the picture. It's the called for, and I did buy it from Teresa at Kitten Stitcher. She was one of the few people that still carry it. It's 28 count dill by Picture This Plus, and it is so beautiful. Those colors look really pretty on that linen. When I first got it, I was like, oh, that's so dark. But it really isn't. It's gonna be fun. And then this is another one that I need to get back to. I started it, and it is on my radar, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Generation. It is a French sampler, and the sweet Brenda Holzman that is on Instagram, she has finished this, and I adored it and made a comment that, oh, I just love that, and asked what the pattern chart information was. And she sent it to me. So thank you, Brenda. And here's my start. Am I showing that to you upside down, sideways? Yep. You'd think that you'd know that, showing people, but you don't see it for a second. So I just started on the alphabet so that I could find my way down here so I could start on the fun stuff. There's a witch right here, and there's Santa. It's like a seasonal scene, and then it has all this wonderful sampler alphabets, and I just love it. And then there's a little needlework girl down here. So I really need to get back to this one. And I'm stitching this on 36 count Creek Bed Brown by Arnar. Another one that is on my immediate radar, Red Deer Sampler. I have actually started it. I did another serial start. My linen choice is unconventional. It is I'm not going to remember the name of it right now. It's a blue-gray color. I know that it's by, I don't know the linen, but it's a 36 count. And I just thought that it looked really close and similar to the chart. There's like blues in there. And I think most people stitch it on a gray, but I couldn't find it at the time. And so I just went with this blue, and I really like it. The colors really pop on it. So I want to get back to that. I had you guys all fooled last time that I'm this great finisher, but now you find out the truth. Another one that I really want to get back to, and I'm going to be doing a lot of stadium stitching in the next little bit. My daughter has a bunch of dance competitions coming up, and so this is done on 28 count, which is easy to see. One Nation by Bygone Stitches. So I'm thinking that I'll be able to get back to this and make some great progress on it, because I need a big stitch count when I mean, it's a big piece, and so it's going to be kind of hard to handle, but I stitch in hand anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And this is 28 count L. I love L. I have quite a few pieces going on L right now. I started this piece last year. It's Rosewood Manor, and it is Old Glory by Karen Kluba. And the call for linen is I can't find the name right now, but it's a picture of this plus linen. It only comes, I could only find it in 32 count. So I started it, and I didn't like the way my stitches were laying because it's 2 threads. And so then I started it over again with 1 thread over 32. And it still shows up pretty good. I'll put down in the description box the linen that this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this big piece because it's so pretty. It has like blues and reds in it. I'm going to keep this piece and put smalls on it for this summer, but I'm going to make this into a pin cushion, and then I'm going to probably finish this one and do the same thing, make it into a pin cushion, and then I'm not going to scrap this fabric, but I'm going to reorder it. I think the name of the fabric is Heroic, but I will make sure to post that down below. And then my last one is Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring by Blackbird Designs. And I started it, and I think that this was a January 1st start that quite a few people were stitching, and I started with everyone, and then I saw a squirrel, and so that's as far as I've gotten. And this is on Oaken by Picture This Plus, I believe. It's so pretty. Love that linen. So I think I have enough to keep me busy for the next little while. But there's market coming up, and I am so excited. Are you guys so excited for market? It is going to be amazing. I was going to show you one more project. I checked my phone right before I got on here, and Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplers had posted all of her market releases. Oh, did you guys see the one with the baskets? And it's a compilation with Scarlet House. It is so good. And then of course she has Consider the Lilies coming out, which is a sister chart to His Eye is on the Sparrow. And I didn't get very much more progress done on this because I had to unpick so much on Anniversaries of the Heart. But I did make quite a bit of the border. I got all the way down to the bottom. Just the outline, not the flowers. So that's all I've accomplished since the last time that we spoke. But I want to get back to that, and I'm most definitely getting the sister chart for this, and I can't remember the name of the one that's the compilation with Tanya with Scarlet House, but it's great. It's got baskets and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I'm just so excited for all the tomatoes and all the things that I've been seeing from With Thy Needle and Thread, and there's a few others. So market's going to be good this year. So squirrel! Let me check my notes just to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything that I wanted to show you. I've got such a pile here right now. Just going to toss it. Oh, I didn't show you my haul. So, I ordered a quilt kit from Country Samplers of Spring Green, and it's Rhapsody in blue, and they send you quilt kits wrapped up in the most yummy little package. It's just got such a neat presentation. You just, I mean, I don't need to make this for a few years and I can just set it on my shelf. It's just so pretty. But I want to stitch that as a coverlet just at like the end of my bed. And then My next haul, oh, I got the next piece for Summer Schoolhouse series. It's actually not the next, but it's the one that I did not have, so I got to pick that up. And these next couple are, I'm going to call them Brenda and Reecie. They both happened. Reecie is Stitching with Reecie on Flosstube, and I think Farm Girl just showed this recently too, and I just love it. It's Reflets de Soie, and I don't know, it's just G Ledger 1898. Love that. I love pears. So I'm gonna, and I love that house. It's just so neat with the different colored alphabet. So pretty. And then this one I needed to get because of Brenda and Laura. Following the Law, and Brenda recently finished this last year, and hers is so pretty. Cindy with Cindy C Stitches just finished hers and showed it on Instagram as well, and it's really pretty, so go check that out. And then last time Brenda showed her bag that she had made, and these are panels that you buy from Brenda Gervais on her website, Country Stitches Online. And I haven't made the strawberry yet, so I've just got a little scissor fob on there. But I had this one and made it quite a few months ago, but I needed to get the next two. So this one is red with that salt box house on there, and this one kind of goes with that heart and hand piece. And then this next one is really cute. It's got a little stitching girl and a frog. I should have taken these out and shown you the whole entire panel. I'll make them and probably show them to you next time. And then I got some banding because I wanted to sign up for the I Stitch Burgundy stitch along, and I thought I had ordered it correctly, but instead of getting one piece I ordered two that are half the length that they need to be. But I think what I'm going to do after talking to Brenda is I'm just going to put them, I'm going to still stitch it. There's quite a few alphabets that start, you know, over again, and I'll just stitch one length and put it on a thimble or one of those vintage spools. And so I'm planning on starting this soon. We'll see. I've got so many things that I want to do. Let me check my notes really quick to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Your mind goes blank when you're doing these videos, and then you'll, you know, it'll be done and you'll be looking through your notes or watching the video back to check for errors, and you'll be like, oh, I wish I would have said that, and I forgot, I didn't finish saying what I was saying. One of the things that I remember I didn't finish saying last time was I was telling you that I really like vintage colors that are in the Lori Holt colorway, but then I also like, what I meant to say was I really like prim, like the burgundy colors, mustards and blacks, browns, tans. That's how I decorate my house, except my kitchen is the bright mints, reds, and pinks. So I think that is it. I think I covered everything. A few people asked me if I would tell a little bit more about myself, and I thought I would leave that to the end because not everybody's interested in that. But I'm married, and I've been married for 13 years. We have 2 kids. My stepson, he's 17, and he actually just finished school a couple weeks ago. He finished school early, and then he'll walk with his graduating class in June. And then I have a daughter, Haley, and she's 11, and she is in the 5th grade. She dances, she's in ballet and in competitive dance, and she also sews and stitches with me a little bit. I try not to force it, so I don't want her to get sick of it, but every once in a while when she's in the mood, she'll come to me, and she's stitching a Prairie Schooler Santa, and then she just finished a little key fob, or a little chicken that she wants me to turn into a key fob for her. I learned how to stitch by my mom. When I was a kid, she would stitch in the family room with her bright light, driving my dad nuts, and I remember her cross-stitching every night. And so she taught me how, and she also stitched in hand, the sewing method. And so she taught me how to do that. She passed away when I was a teenager, but I love to stitch and remember her. And it really does make me feel closer to her when I'm stitching. But now I'm the one driving my husband nuts with the bright light, like a runway or a surgeon's light in the family room at night. And so it's just come full circle. Before I was a stay-at-home mom, I worked in real estate. I was an escrow officer for about 6 years, and then I was a realtor for 7. And when I had my daughter, she had some serious health issues, and she needed to be, she couldn't be in public. She couldn't be in daycare. She had immune compromisation problems. And so I became a stay-at-home mom, and we moved from big Salt Lake City, Utah, to a small town. I live here in Utah. And I just love it. I teach sewing classes, quilting classes at our local quilt shop, and I make some project bags, and I keep myself busy and try to stay out of trouble. So that's our lives in a nutshell. There's 2 quilts I wanted to show you really quick, and they're both along the I Love Houses theme. We talked about that last time, that I stitch a lot of houses and I sew a lot of houses. This quilt is Somerville, and it is by Thimble Blossoms, and it's Bonnet and Camille fabric. And you'll find a recurring theme with my quilts here. I will get them bound, and then I just put them away, or I roll them up, and then I keep them for when I'm going to go on a trip. And they're good car stitching. I don't mind doing hand binding. I keep them for when I can't cross stitch in a car, so I just keep it for that. Or like when we go on a trip, I'll sit there in the family room or watching TV at night on a trip and quilt. I'll stitch binding. So this quilt, it is called the Neighborhood Quilt, and it is by Moda. It's a free pattern, and it's done with all fig tree fabrics. And I did this as a sew along with some friends. We had met at a quilt retreat, and there's blocks in here. What we decided to do was each birthday month, the month that is your birthday, you would receive 2 blocks from each girl. And so we all made 2 separate blocks in here. And there's blocks in here from Wyoming, Idaho, California, Oklahoma, and 2 from Australia. And we had all met at a sewing retreat and just became really good friends, and we still are. And so this was a fun way to send birthday kindness to each other, and then we have something that we all stitched, and so it's really fun. I think that is it for today. I think this is going to be a longer video than last time, and thanks for putting up with all my dog's noises. Thank you for all of your kindness and your warm wishes. I love being a part of this community. They tell you that the stitching community is the best, and it really is. I have made so many good friends on here, and I just really enjoy being a part of it. You all, I cannot talk today. I'm more nervous today for this video than I was the first time, and I'm not sure why. And I've probably forgotten to tell you a few things. This one is definitely a little bit of a hot mess. But thanks again. Just sincerely appreciate you all, and happy stitching, everybody. Bye.